Hey, welcome back to another video, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. We are both wearing hats. For some reason, Scott's decided to copy me today. I've got a reason for wearing a hat because if you've seen my last video, this is my new look. What do you think?
I like it.
You actually like it?
I like it.
I do not like it.
I think on camera I thought that looks dreadful, but in person it looks like. But you do look like
an egg.
Well, yeah, but you also look like you're going to go out for a fight. You look like you're going to go down the street and just knock someone out with that.
I was going to take a photo of myself, put it on Instagram, and be like, "Don't step to this skinhead blood. It'll spark you out, mate." Not good.
I mean, you've invited me on like the coldest day. The last few days it's been nice,
It's
isn't it?
freezing,
You've invited me on the coldest day.
What's going on?
Let's hope it doesn't rain.
Yeah. Anyway, as mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Scott and I are going to do this strength kind of series, I guess, around triathlon specifically. So swim, bike, run, and then putting the program together. So that it's going to be a 4-part series. The episode today is swimming. Obviously, majority of people have been out of the pool for a lot of time, so getting back into the pool is going to be a shock to everyone. These are exercises that people can do now when they're out of the pool, but also continue when they get back into the pool, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've probably come to this quite late, haven't we? Because everyone's just getting back to it. Yeah, but I think it's mega important. So many people have tried to replicate their swim sessions, haven't they? Outside by doing various resistance band work or various strength work. But if you actually ask someone what strength element does swimming have, a lot of people don't really know the answer to that. And ask them why they're doing it, and they're just replicating their stroke of the swim, but they don't actually know what they're doing. Like if your stroke is awful, then you are replicating a really bad stroke, aren't you? Like you're basically just practicing bad technique.
Yeah.
So when we look at like S&C for swimming specifically, we look at something called postural strength, and there are many different types of strength, and postural is going to be the biggest for swimming, and it's essentially just like control, I guess, of your body.
Yeah. And
calisthenics is very much postural strength. So the easiest way to describe postural strength is calisthenics.
Okay.
It's essentially using your own muscular strength and your coordination in order to put yourself in positions or safe and effectively and efficiently. What's the difference between effective and efficient? I always say effective and efficient, but I don't actually know the difference between them.
We have to Google this. Efficient is like if your car's efficient, like you don't use much fuel to get places.
But surely that's effective as well.
Effective is just doing something well, isn't it?
But surely that is efficient.
Comment in the comment section below what the difference is between effective and efficient.
Yeah, they should just be the same word. So when we look at swimming specifically, we look at the moves in which we are going to be doing. So when we swim, I'm not a bad swimmer, but Harry's probably got better technique than me.
I would not say that at all. You've seen my technique.
Well, I don't think I've touched the swimming pool, mate, in about 3 years. So when we're swimming, we obviously want to maintain that streamlined position, but when we swim, Harry explained this just before, and he's probably actually got a better demonstration. But when we're swimming, we don't just want to be swimming like this. We want to have a slight bit of rotation with that, which puts more pressure or downward pressure on one of our shoulders. So we look at that shoulder straight away, and we need to have a stable shoulder. We then look at the movement in which our shoulder is coming through, and we need to have good mobility in order to do this action however many times. I don't know stroke rates or anything, but we obviously need to be able to do that movement efficiently and effectively, well, a lot of times in the water. So therefore we also need good mobility in that shoulder as well. Notice how I'm saying mobility for the shoulder, and I'll say flexibility. So many people at the moment love the mobility vibe, don't they?
Yeah, I know. It's like the in thing at the minute.
I know. I see it all the time. Like, check this video out for really good hamstring mobility. You can't get hamstring mobility. Mobility is through joints, flexibility is through muscles. So that's the difference between the two. So we look at that shoulder, it needs to be stable and it also needs to be mobile. We then slightly move down to our thoracic. I'm hoping Harry's editing skills will be able to give us a little bit of a spine.
Probably not.
Somewhere in this video.
I'll pop something in here. It might look terrible.
It'll be the worst.
You're like, hey, that's not a spine, that's someone's leg.
We then look at the trunk, which a lot of people kind of do anyway with swimming. So with the trunk, we're not just looking at the abs. Loads of people walk around just tensing their abs constantly. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have good or bad trunk strength, having abs or not. It's simply just a body composition goal to have. But we look at the strength and the control of what you have in not only the trunk, the abs and the back, but also in the intra-abdominal abs, the muscles deep in, the side muscles, the obliques, and also the muscles around the hips as well are really important, especially like the glutes and anywhere around the hips, because if you weren't to have hips and you just have a spine, then your legs are just going to be flopping about all over the place. Yeah. So it's really important there as well to have that trunk strength, and by trunk meaning the strength of the pelvis. So obviously we want to improve that propulsion, and the majority of that is upper body, which is why we focus a lot of upper body stuff. And then we then look at being specific with the exercises that we choose, and basic things we look at like flutter kicks or seated crisscrosses, and we can then start to look at like high planks on like a Swiss ball where we're out of balance to progress. And a key thing here is, which we'll delve on about in our last video of how to program, is how to progress, because you don't just do the same bike session all the time, do you? We look at swimming in general, and we look at pressing movements, especially towards the pectorals or the chest, because that's going to hold that shoulder. It's going to help with that shoulder stability. We then look at the pull movements, because again that's going to help. Number one with that shoulder, and number two, swimming is a pull-in movement, isn't it? Yeah. And then we then look at the trunk and what we can do around the trunk in terms of the front, the anterior, and the back, the posterior. And we then also look at exercises with anti-rotation or rotation exercises as well. So for the press-in, we've got the top exercises in this are all level 1 exercises. So if you haven't really done S&C before, you're a beginner, then try and perform these exercises. Reps and sets, in all honesty, we'll go into that in the last video. Yeah. However, if you did 5 reps, 5 sets of all of these exercises in the circuit type fashion, I promise you'll see some benefit if you've never done S&C before. Yeah. If you've never got on a bike before, as soon as you do 4 weeks on the bike, you're going to improve, aren't you?
Yeah, that's it. Like you see massive benefits. Like the earlier you are in your progression, you see bigger benefits. And that's when it starts to when you start to plateau, that's when you need to start changing things, isn't it? Because otherwise you're never going to progress further than that.
Yeah. And obviously level 2 and level 3, obviously we get slightly more intermediate to advanced. And again, you can make things more advanced, but hopefully you can kind of see just a few examples of how we've made, for instance, we'll go into the press because it's easy, of kneeling push-ups to a push-up to a deficit push-up. We're just simply making things harder in the way we position our body. Or for the trunk, we've gone from dead bugs to a hollow hold to a weighted hollow hold. Or for the posterior of that, we've gone from a prone extension hold to a Superman hold to a prone extension hold off a deficit. So again, we're just making things harder in which we position ourselves. And like S&C coaches, you pay an S&C coach, right, for their exercise library and their knowledge. That's either a good S&C coach or a bad S&C coach at the end of the day is obviously the knowledge accounts for a lot, but also the exercise prescription accounts for a lot. If you went to go and see a pharmacist, you would rely on what they're giving you.
Hopefully they know what they're talking about. Yeah.
So when you go and see an S&C coach, you would like to think that they would be prescribing you exercises towards your
weaknesses and stuff like that. Yeah.
So you would like to think that an S&C coach will be targeting them areas, and hopefully these exercises here are just a very basic outline of some of the exercises that you can be doing.
Yeah, and I guess it's up to people watching this to kind of be almost like critical of themselves and think like, what is my weakness? Like, and going, okay, well maybe I need to spend a little bit more time doing that, or a little bit more focus on that. So this is a chance for you to go away and go, okay, what do I need to work on? Not neglecting other areas, but maybe just a bit more of a focus on those weaknesses. The S&C is not there to, you know, while you can't swim, it's still, when you can swim, like, still keep doing the S&C. Don't just like chuck it in the bin and go, yeah, well, I've done that now.
So we got asked this question on our last vlog, and someone asked if they would replace their sessions for S&C sessions. Yeah. Because,
definitely.
Because you're not gonna you already do a lot of bike. If you're on 5 hours, I can see where people think like, oh, I'm only training 5 hours, so I need to hit the basics. But if you increase your motor control and you increase like, right, my ankle needs to be more stable. For instance, now we're moving on to the bike, which is what we're going to move on to next. Then all of a sudden you will be stronger on the bike because your ankle's more stable and you can push more power through that leg.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would suggest replacing sessions for specific S&C sessions, but a lot of people don't do that because they just go and do a circuit. So therefore they automatically think, oh, well, it's not really doing anything because they're just doing a circuit. Whereas actually, if it was specific to them, their mind might change towards that aspect of training.
Yeah, it's almost like having it as a primary bit of training rather than thinking it as a secondary. You know, like, I'll do it if I have time. I remember when I used to train with Sam Pichter, he always said, like, if he didn't have time for a session, he would make sure he made time for a gym session. He would get rid of a different session, like swim, bike or run, because he knew that there was massive benefit in doing that.
Yeah,
and I think I think it's a massive thing, and I think a lot of people, they do treat S&C as a secondary because it's not what we're doing on race days. We're not doing CrossFit, but like it's only going to help you in all three aspects. Right, nice one. We'll see you in the next video.